So I have the opportunity to introduce DeAnna Leitzke, who's going to come up. DeAnna's a member of the faculty here at MSOE in Civil, Architectural Engineering, and Construction Management. I've been working with her for about 5 years on a variety of different projects so that she can help our students take what they learn in the classroom and repurpose that information for the benefit of our community. It's just been a lot of fun. I think you're going to talk a little bit about that stuff? Yeah. So here's DeAnna.
Thank you so much. Maybe you could have let Jeff go after me. It's a tough presentation to follow. So Dick asked me to talk about how my journey began, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about today, and also talk to you about how foresight has influenced that journey. So I can't talk about my journey without talking about my mom. Wow, I'm already super emotional just looking at my mother. My mother raised me and my siblings as the ultimate caregiver. I learned by example from my mom. She is the ultimate servant. She's always put everybody ahead of her. And that is something that's very difficult to grow up in that environment and not let that trickle down to you. So that's just how I grew up living my life because of my mom. So this is a little timeline of me and how I got where I am right now today that I'll share with you. So I'll tell you that I've always been, it's been my nature to serve first. That's been me from day one because of my mother. I can't say that I've always been a leader. I went to school here, and as a student at MSOE, I can't say I was really a leader at that point. It was a time in my life where I knew I wanted to be an engineer because engineering was something that came easy for me. It was a decision that I made early in life that that's what I wanted to do. Here at MSOE, it was before the nursing program was here. There were a lot fewer women on campus. And here I was, an extrovert and a woman amongst a lot of introverted men. And I didn't necessarily feel like I belonged at that point in the game. And because of that, I became very shy. I kind of kept to myself a little bit. And I didn't share all that much at that point in my life. I remember my junior year here, and I was in organizational psychology, where we took a Myers-Briggs test. And in that test, I learned that I was the only extrovert in the room, and that the career path that I was supposed to be taking was a kindergarten teacher. And I said, well, I'm here and I'm doing this, so I'm going to finish it. But I guess at that point in my life, I learned that at some point, I kind of knew that I wanted to be a teacher someday. But I knew that I needed to get out there and learn enough and have enough experience so that I could come back and do that. So that's just what I did. I graduated. I started out doing design work, which was not for me. Not enough talking involved, too much sitting behind a desk. It didn't make me very happy. I left that company and I started doing consulting work, and I was at a company here in Milwaukee for 7 years and really enjoyed that. I started with the company when it was smaller, and very early in my career was given a lot of opportunities, a lot of freedom, a lot of responsibility, and lo and behold, within that company I became director of employee development. I became a teacher in that role. And I felt very comfortable in that role. So I was in charge of hiring new engineers and training them, and then developing the framework to continue education for all the employees within the company. At some point, that company became very successful, which is what we want, right? We want our companies to be successful. What happened during that was that the owners somehow felt like they were losing a little bit control and did some major reorganization, and it no longer felt right for me there. Okay, it started to feel like it was all about the money, and it changed it. It shifted at that point. Also, I became a mother when I was there, which changed me tremendously. And all those little annoyances that just didn't feel right suddenly became really big annoyances, and it no longer felt like it was the right place for me to be. At that point, I ran into a professor that was a teacher of mine here at MSOE, and he said, it's time. it's time for you to leave, and it's time for you to come back here. One of the things when I think about foresight and how it's influenced me is the fact that I've always been very open to where I want to go, and I've always shared that with the people around me, my mentors. And so I had shared the fact that I wanted to be a teacher someday with this professor, and that served me well because he let me know that there was a position available, and I started graduate school, which was also very enlightening to me. That was the first time I heard the term servant leadership. I can't say it completely resonated with me at that point in the game because I don't know if I was ready to be open for it at that point, but it was back there. I heard it. Gene Wright was supposed to be here today, and I don't see him, but he was one of my professors in grad school, as was Dr. Howell. So that left a big impact on me. I started teaching here, and that was the best career change that could have ever happened to me, and it helped me to grow in a lot of ways that I didn't anticipate. This is one of the things that changed me. This is Blue Lotus. It's a group of surveying students that I took out to this farm and retreat in West Bend. We got a call because I was teaching architectural engineering. There was a need for a survey out at this retreat, and they asked if my students could come out there. I had been teaching for about 3 years at this point. And I said, sure, we can do that. I had to make the lab optional because it required a lot more time than a lab on campus here. And I was blown away by the fact that each and every student in the room all took on the challenge to go out there and spend a half day with their lab instead of just a couple hours. And we had an amazing day. It was a lot of fun. It was beautiful weather, which I'm sure didn't hurt, okay? And from that one experience, we created a 7 or 6 year relationship with Blue Lotus, where we've gone out there every year, and I bring my students out, and we continue to build onto a deck that we started for them, so that the people that enjoy the camp, who are typically in wheelchairs and walkers, are able to enjoy nature and get around. Over 200 students at MSOE have participated in this over the last 6 years. It has been a major changer for me. The other thing that this project did was it introduced me on a different level to Dr. Howell, who at the time was chair of servant leadership and became a mentor to me. I started doing a lot more projects with my classes. These are just some examples of building different sheds. We built a couple playhouses for the MAP fund and donated them. These are service learning opportunities, and from some of these experiences, I see servant leaders arise out of the experience. But it's been a great way to intertwine two loves of mine, two passions that I have, to bring this into the classroom. Going further into the foresight aspect, at some point I looked at Dave and I said, I really want your job someday. And I'm glad that I told Dr. Howell that. He didn't take it badly, he took it very well. He said, not when you're ready to move on, let me know. But this is a place where I see myself being able to offer a lot to the university. And one of the things that I think that conversation did was, on my way home from work, a little over a year ago, I looked down at my phone and there was an email from Dave, and it said, do you want to go to Africa? And yeah, I want to go to Africa. That sounds really cool. And then my very next thought was, I can't go to Africa. These are my babies, and they need me, and I can't leave them for 2.5 weeks. Going back to my mother and living that world, I have a hard time going and spending 2 hours at the salon for myself. Okay, I can't do that. That's not natural. It doesn't feel comfortable to me. So the thought of going and leaving these children and my husband for 2.5 weeks was beyond scary to me. But I talked to a lot of people. Some of them are in the room today, and they convinced me that this was the right thing to do. And my husband was tremendously supportive and saying that this is where you need to go. It also kind of came full circle to me, and I realized what a gift I could give my children by going and doing this opportunity. So I traded in these 3 little guys for 3 older students for 2.5 weeks, and I took three of my students to northern town in Uganda, where we showed 5 different districts how to build this lightweight concrete slab to be used as a latrine. It uses bamboo as reinforcement. Not very glamorous work, but very essential work. And this experience changed me a lot. One of the things that this experience did as a side effect that I didn't anticipate was I left my family with my youngest still in diapers and feeling very uncertain how that 2.5 weeks would go without me. Left my husband the most detailed spreadsheet you can ever think of as far as where they all need to be and when. And I came back to a house without diapers and 3 very happy children and a very proud papa because he potty trained my youngest child when I was gone, and realized they were fine without me. And that was so liberating to know that I've done a good enough job as a mother and that they felt secure and safe enough with the community that has been around them that I could make that trip and that I could go on that adventure and to help a lot of people. So it was life-changing for me, that experience. So when you ask how I became a servant leader, I can honestly say that I was a servant first, that part came natural to me. It was the leadership part that I needed to work on. And that leadership part came with the self-awareness and the confidence that I was a good leader and that I did have something to offer. And I think that that's what my experience here at MSOE has given me, and certainly my experience in Uganda has given me that. So I'm an engineer, and equations work for me. So I'll give you my equation for foresight. My equation for foresight is that foresight is equal to self-awareness, which is plus intuition. The self-awareness I've gained through feeling comfortable in these shoes, not necessarily these shoes in particular, but being comfortable with who I am and knowing that I have something to offer and knowing who I am. The intuition for me is listening to my heart and listening to my gut. And that comes with feeling confident and knowing and all those other tenets and having those characteristics and being a good listener and being a good steward and having empathy. You can then trust your heart and you can trust your gut. Another thing I firmly believe about leadership is that you need to believe in where you're going. So if you have the self-awareness, you listen to your heart, you listen to your gut, and you believe that this is the right direction, you truly feel that and believe that, people are going to aspire and you're going to inspire other people and they're going to want to be a part of whatever it is you're doing. And as leaders, there's no right or no wrong. You just have to believe it and go with it. And then you need to keep listening and you need to change directions when necessary. So I'll leave you with this image because I can tell you this is how I feel almost every day. I don't know what's next. I don't know where I'm going next, but I can tell you I'm excited for it and I know that it's going to be good. So thank you so much.